Hello and welcome back to my channel. Tonight I have another guest. Her name is Sophie, and I'll let her introduce herself. So you take the stage, Sophie. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. I'm Sophie. I'm from Australia. Yeah, I'm 25 years old.
Right on. Um, so let's dive right in here. With your diagnosing, can you tell us how long ago that took place for you, and what happened, before you were diagnosed? Like what brought it to light, so to speak?
Well, my diagnosis was fairly recent, so it's now been 2 years since I had first episode of psychosis, and I even had a relapse. So,
Okay.
so I was administered to I had admission to the hospital twice at two different locations.
Okay.
So so when I after I got treated, they didn't know what to give me diagnosis because I was going through the treatment process. So first they gave me like schizophrenia, then schizoaffective, and then eventually they gave me a bipolar type 2
Okay.
when I was pretty much recovered.
Right. Okay. So, what led you up to that point before you were hospitalized and they made that verdict for you?
What led me to psychosis?
Yeah, like what were you feeling? What was happening in your life at that point or leading up to that point before?
Well, the trigger to my psychosis was pretty much my self medication. Like I was trying to self medicate.
Through like marijuana and alcohol or
It was the CBD oil.
CBD oil?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And that's what actually triggered it, eh?
Yeah, it's a very, I don't know, I've never heard anyone that's been triggered by it, but it's a rare incident for me.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because I smoke weed on the regular. I mean, evenings more so than anything, simply to help aid in sleep. But that brought on a psychosis for you, eh?
Yeah, I was very surprised and shocked that it was the biggest turning point in my life. It
So
was,
yeah, sorry.
sorry.
I was just going to mention, were you consuming quite a bit of CBD oil beforehand? Like, was it a matter of weeks and then you noticed everything starting to deteriorate, or
Um, it happened just within a week.
in
I
a
just
week?
took it, yeah, I
Wow.
took it daily. And plus I was working at the time.
Hmm.
Um, I was I was working at a really crappy job, like
Okay.
not a good place to be in when you're stressed out and you're trying to self-medicate.
Yeah, so you were in a pretty dark place, obviously, and just those burdens sitting on top of your shoulders made it much more of an impact. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
hard.
So, what have the doctors told you with your diagnosing? Like, what to expect, what the future plan is? Is there anything set in motion, or
Um, my doctors were really adamant about me being on medication. They said, "Well, could I've tried to be off it
mm-hmm.
to see how I would be without it?" And they said, "Yeah, you definitely need to be back on it because we can tell that you're a totally different person. You're a little bit more bubbly, I guess."
Yeah, a little more step in your or kick in your step, or however that phrase is, basically, like you're a little more lively. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit more alive, I guess.
Okay. So,
And I was very against taking medications, just pharmaceutical medications, because I was kept thinking about the long term effect as well.
right. Yeah, that's my big key factor in micromanaging, disorders of such. Um, Trying to just wing it without medication, and that's not for everybody. It's quite difficult naturally. Um, there's not a safety net to rely on with medication. It just kind of puts things in order for the time being. But for myself, it just didn't seem to work um, as as much as everyone hoped for, really. So 3 years now without it. And I think I'm doing okay. You know, I mean, we all have our ups and downs and our depressive
Yeah.
states, but you know, they come and go. They don't linger like they used to years past, and I think that might have a lot to do with you know, just understanding more about yourself and you know how you operate and function, and that frontal lobe part of the brain is totally developed after 25 anyway, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you get, yeah, there's a little more how can I put it, clarity, more tools in your toolbox, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, like I said, if you're going through something and nothing in your external life is working for you, then medication, you know, is definitely a therapeutic route to go for sure. But so, you've been medicated for how long? You said, Sophie?
Uh, well, I was medicated. Well, from the time I was having treatment, that was 2019, so
Right.
about February. That was when I was on antipsychotic, so paliperidone. So um, I was actually taking medication, like tablets, for like a couple of days for the first time when I was in the hospital, and then I realized that I was seeing normal,
Hmm.
and they just
Okay.
let me go. But the thing is, they let me go because I was so very positive and like smiling, and I was so social, and like it's never used to be me because I'm a very shy person. I don't really just straight away strike up a conversation with the other, um, what do you call it, patients
Yeah.
in the ward
So do
because
you
they're
think that?
unwell.
Yeah. Do you think that could have been, you know, more or less the medication that's bringing out your personality, or maybe just it was like a safe place, you felt nurtured, taken care of, and whatnot, that you could just kind of relax and realize that all those burdens and stresses weren't, you know, gnawing at you
Yeah,
at that particular point.
I
But
actually felt quite good there, to be honest. It was a bit strange because even though my mania was pretty high, it was very extreme when I was in the hospital because I felt like I was on top of the world. I feel like I was gonna accomplish a lot of things.
yeah, I can relate to that too. And I'll tell you, it's too bad we couldn't tap into that energy source and just resonate at that highest level all day, every day, and operate, you know, in a functioning manner, obviously. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's not reality. But damn it, man, if we could, eh?
I know it would have been amazing.
Yeah, because I felt like, you know, during my moments, this is 20 years ago now, but I felt like I could accomplish anything, and I didn't feel like I had more than the average, but it just felt like I was able to break out of this cage mentality, maybe, or parts of the brain were activated, whereas in the past they weren't. I don't know. Um,
It was almost as if you had your senses got more
Heightened.
stronger, you
Yeah.
know, because I even though I'm hearing impaired, like I don't hear very well, I actually heard very well. I don't know what it was, but my hearing senses was so empowering. Like I could hear people very well,
Nice.
and I felt like I could speak very well as well. And because I've got speech impediment,
Hmm.
but I just like I felt like my senses were pretty much in good working condition.
Nice. And allowing you to flow properly. Now, my question to that, you know, because I'm kind of skeptical on the whole Western side of understanding what this, you know, disorder is or diagnosing.
Yeah,
You know, because you hear a lot about people having spiritual awakenings and emergencies, and those people too have their senses heightened, and they can smell better, they can see things better, everything is more vibrant. So I'm just wondering if it's quite possible that we're having these emergencies when it's in dire need, because it's a pinnacle point of our life that just needs to be awakened, if you will. And by doing so, it's kind of shedding your old personalities, your old mentalities and belief systems and whatnot to allow you to, you know, further yourself in a, how can I put it, like a positive manifestation, if you will. But then they take you and they lock you up in an institution, medicate you, and tell you this is, more or less how it's going to be for the rest of your life. So it almost feels like a blossoming flower that's supposed to open up, and just as it's 90%, they grab you and clamp you and then say, no, you can't do that. I've yet to hear any clarity on that matter, to be honest, in all the research I've done and people I spoke to. Because again, everyone has their own belief systems and ideologies, but it feels to me like it's something bigger on the rise than just simply, your brain cracking and you need medication to get reverted back to how you were previously. What are your thoughts, Sophie?
Yeah, I actually really wanted to say that in the process before my psychosis, I was actually really into spiritual journey. I even have the chakra girl tattooed on me
Nice. Right on.
because I was introduced by an ex-best friend, even though I've got a matching tattoo with her.
Yeah.
But I don't regret it. It's part of my experience.
Yeah. Well, certainly.
I don't regret anything in my past at all, and I don't um bring myself down about it.
That's a positive way of looking at things too, and I think that's the perfect way of perceiving things, because it's when you're in the moments of despair um, and past reflections that can bog you down and have you depressed, and then next thing you know you're cycling on that brain wave and that low frequency, and that's how you end up becoming sick, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So good on you for that. I'm a firm believer in what's happened in your past has brought you to the present. It's created you. It's molded you. So it's kind of like saying that there's no sun without dark. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
definitely. Like
possible, right? So
like the yin yang. I like the
yeah,
yin yang.
right. Duality. You got to work with both sides of the coin. Um,
Yeah, both polarities.
exactly. And it's everyone again has their own ideas and concepts on the matter, but I think it's just a matter of growing as an individual steadily. And when you don't, you become stagnant, and that's when you have your trip ups and your foulings. But I'm almost feeling like it's a knock on your door when you're down and out. It's almost like a kick in the ass. We'll say from
Mm,
the spirit realm or the divine God, creator, cosmos, universe, whatever you want to label it. And I don't think that should be interrupted with, invasive pharmaceutical drug, unless it's in dire need, but just as a band-aid moment, you know what I mean? Not to carry it on for years. Like I've said before in my podcast here, I suffered, 20 years, almost 20 years at least, on high levels of antipsychotics, and it ruined me. I wasn't able to function, you know. I won't get into details because the audience have heard my story, and it's time to
oh
let that
yeah.
go. But
Yeah, I've
um,
I've heard it myself too.
yeah.
I've already sat through and watched all your videos.
Holy shit! Oh, you're the one, Sophie, that mentioned that in the
Yeah, I
Facebook.
did.
Nice, cool, cool. Well, I appreciate that. Right?
You're
Sharing's
welcome.
caring. Well, yeah. The more stories that get out there, the more comfortable people feel like telling their own stories, and we can all learn from you know even microdoses of our stories. What utilizes, or sort of what you can utilize, great, and what doesn't serve you, discard. But that's the great thing about this platform, just having a voice to tell a story and channel information back and forth between each other.
Yeah, because what I did afterwards, after I watched all your videos, because you asked if anyone wanted to be interviewed on the podcast, and I thought, I'm not sure. So then I thought, okay, I might as well, just go for it.
Yeah, and that's a great way of looking at it too. Just going ahead and doing it, like the Nike slogan, just do it. Um, I was pretty much nudged in this direction for a long while, and I was procrastinating, putting it off for the longest while. I'm like, fuck it. What do I get to lose? I'll just toss my story out there and see what happens. And here we are, I don't know, what, 6, 7 months later, interviewing other individuals who've gone through similar, ordeals, and I'll continuously say it that it's a healing, exchange for both parties involved to hear your story, and you've already heard mine, and just collaborating different things together. Um, it makes life more manageable when you can hear other people who've gone through the same thing, right?
Oh, definitely. And what's really unique about people sharing stories that they're not all the same, but they're similar in some ways.
Yeah, big time, big time.
They're similar in some ways. So it's kind of saying, like even though we're all diagnosed, it could be a type. Let's say because I'm type two, say a couple of other people who have a type two doesn't mean we're necessarily the same.
Yeah, that's right. They say that two individuals can be raised in the same household and both have different ideas and
Yeah.
memories of what took place in the same setting. So, it only goes to show that people who are suffering through the same diagnosing are going to have different stories to tell, and expressions and feelings about, what they're going through. Um, so when you were diagnosed, did you feel like it was the end of the world? Like almost like a.
Um, Honestly, my end of the world was when I was recovered, basically. I was in the recovery process from psychosis. That was my
Okay.
end of the world moment because I went from my most manic, like highest mania, and because you're in the treatment stage, it was like a massive crash to the bottom right, so
Yeah.
low. I was almost at a suicidal state. Like I didn't do anything, but I was hurting so badly. Like I didn't know what to do. Like I felt like I wanted to hurt myself, but I didn't want to. There was like a bit of a resistance because I'm not a very suicidal person. Yeah, I was not so happy with, there's some things that I'm not happy about my life. Like I pick and pull apart things about myself, but then I try and get over it and just find things that I should be happy about, you
Nice.
know.
Showing gratitude, to.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
gratitude. I always live for gratitude, and plus I know that the fact there's no one that's like me, and there's no one like you,
Yeah,
and
man.
so I
I
feel
like that.
that I like, I just gotta accept this is me. This is how I look like, this is how I sound, and
Yeah, too, coming from a different point of view, to more or less bring that in together is knowing that, we have these images about ourselves. We look a certain way, we act a certain way, talk a certain way, uh, skin color, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So all of this is kind of like a mirage. It's an illusion. This reality that we think is our world, this matrix, is just a bunch of bullshit. And when you can perceive life that way, that everything that comes to you, whether it be negative or positive, it's neither anyway. It's all a matter of perception of how you look at things through the lens
oh
that
yeah,
you're
everything on the
viewing.
inside, it doesn't matter on the outside
Yeah.
because everyone, I do feel like I'm not trying to judge on people, but I'm saying that people seem to look on the outside to
Yeah.
see things on the outside. So it's like don't judge the book by its cover.
That's right. Yep.
And when I was in back in school, because I was a very shy person, I had hearing impairment. I struggled to hear, socialize and communicate and understand people. And people did try attempt to, be friendship with me, but I struggled. And eventually they just give up, and some people just look down upon me and be like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? But that's also too from the conditioning and programming that we've been introduced to from birth.
Yeah.
Because you think about the children who are looking through the world, viewing the world through their eyes well before the world had a chance to, take over and manipulate their way of thinking and operating. Like it was a blissful time. right? And if we could all get back and shift into that proper consciousness where we're just viewing things for what they are without critical judgment and harassing people, shit, the world would be such a better place. And we weren't sucking energy off each other steadily. When typically somebody's insecure about themselves, 9 out of 10 chances they're, if depending on their heart condition, but they more or less want to trickle onto the individuals who look like easy targets and start to bully them and whatnot. But really, all they're doing is crying out inside, and it's unfortunate when you see that. I feel empathy for those individuals who are casting ignorance on others, and I try. I mean, shit, I was one of them before I was diagnosed. Very critical of myself, insecure, and I would judge other people in hopes that I could, float my own and more or less pump my own self-esteem up and my ego. And it didn't work. It's like filling an empty void, steadily. It doesn't do a bit of good. So we all have to work on ourselves, heal, do your shadow work, and be the best person you can be for yourself and everybody around you. And it's not always the easiest. There's days that. Oh, sorry, Sophie. Go ahead.
Yeah, and when you're working on yourself, it's you don't do it overnight, and there's no like a time frame where it ends. It's a continuous work work in progress.
Most definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I find even after 3 years of being not medicated, I still get so many unpacking layers to work out. We all do. And
Yeah.
I'm just glad that I'm given each and every day to, propel in that direction to benefit myself, right?
Because
Yeah.
so when I got into the spiritual journey and like I try to start, how to say, I almost felt like it made me realize, hold on a second, maybe after all my life was kind of like a spiritual experience because I was basically I was felt like I was just floating, like I had no identity. I didn't know who I was
Mhm.
in most of my upbringing, like childhood and teenage stage. It was till sort of I think it was more after I left my ex-partner. I was about how old? 21?
Mhm.
Yeah, 21, age 21. That was really when I felt like I picked myself up. It was hardest part to get out of a relationship though because it was toxic and abusive.
Okay.
And when you're trying to leave those sort of relationships, um, you're too scared to be alone.
Yeah, it's quite difficult, especially when you get accustomed to something. Familiarity is the big factor in those situations. And as you mentioned, to be alone, that seems to be more of a worry to some than to endure the constant aggravations and physical, emotional, mental abuse from your partner, right? Um, but when you realize that you're never alone, I mean, you can talk with if people want to buy into it or not. I mean, I'm just tossing it out there, but talk to your creator, talk to your angels, man. Ask for guidance and help and support, and you can do that in prayer. You can do that in meditation. You can do that in any aspect of your life through, the day. Washing dishes, eating a meal, or beforehand, blessing it and whatnot. But it takes everyone a certain amount of uh, ambition to get to that point, though. It's like turning on a light bulb and going, okay, I realize that everything I need is inside me. I don't have to have the approval or validation or confirmation from the world outside me or anyone else. So just start working on yourself, and you'll see things unfold in a positive way too. So yeah.
Yeah, because for me, because as I was going through school, I found that school was also traumatic for me as well because my family are not Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they come from Europe,
Nice.
and
Okay.
I'm like the first generation here. And so we have a bit of a like a barrier, language barrier. Sorry, language barrier.
Hmm.
So with the language barrier, it's kind of hard to understand. Like if we kind of like for me to understand in their language, and for them to understand in my language, sort of thing in English. Like,
Okay.
because I speak Russian as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Right on. Okay. Um,
So so because I have a really, a supportive family, but what I craved the most with my family was the mental and emotional connection that I never had from my family, beside my non-biological grandfather, which is my step-grandfather. He's no longer around. He passed away. Um, how long now? He's in 2011.
okay.
So I think it's about 12 years.
Yeah,
I'm
we are
losing
now.
count.
Yeah, because
I,
we're in 2021 now.
I think it is 12.
Yeah, you said 11, 9, 10. Yeah, that's 12.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
12 years now. And he also, when he passed away, that was also impacted me a lot as
Wait,
well.
sorry, Sophie, that's 11. I'm tired tonight. It's pretty bad you can't do simple math.
It's okay.
It is what it
Sometimes
is, right?
math doesn't work out in my brain.
Well, you know what it is. Like for me right now, I'm more focused on the content that you're delivering. So my brain is just kind of on autopilot as I'm listening to you. I'm absorbing it, but I'm not ready to have the next word to cast out. Like I'm just giving you this space to talk, right? So, but yeah. Anyway,
So, so
yeah,
good.
as we were.
Yeah, so even though it's been that long ago, 2011, and I was about it was 15. I was age 15. So he didn't even make it to my sweet 16 birthday. And so I was I wasn't that young though. So I was still quite, aware and
Mm,
understanding. And that really impacted me as well because when I was through psychosis, my my emotional experience was that I needed to go to the store and get some flowers and put it on his grave because I missed him so much.
yeah, it's definitely difficult when somebody passes that you had a strong connection with, and you feel like you can relate to that individual on any given day about any subject. And yeah, I had a brother who passed, and he was my rock. Um, I can totally relate with him to any degree and just talk openly about anything. And there was no judgment. We both had, rough upbringings and created our own. A lot of it, really, self-indulged in all kinds of wacky stuff. But when he passed, that shattered me. I was actually, I believe, beginning to taper off. Was I? No, I guess no. I was still heavily dosed on medication, but I felt like there was a reason for me to taper off, and of course my kidneys were, you know, in agreement with that, unfortunately. So I had no other option or choice. But um, yeah, I struggled a lot when my brother passed. He was only 34 when he died, and that was 6 years ago. And I recall, you know, looking at my phone going, oh, there's somebody I can call. Right now, he's gone. I forgot. And I would drink myself stupid every night just to, avoid or sort of avoid the conflict of emotional, distress with it. Um, it was a tough one, but uh, the best way I can, you know, project a viewpoint on that is knowing that they're not gone just in the physical form. They're still with you, around you, and protecting you and looking out for you, you know, uh, every single day and moment. And you can call upon them and ask for guidance and support too. But, so it's quite apparent that
It's just
you're.
that, sorry, I'm just having a really silent moment
No,
because
no, God, that's okay.
what I was gonna say is that when my grandfather was around, he had his own property, like he built his own house, like
Okay.
with his father, and obviously he wasn't around when I was born, and when I was born, his mum was still around, but then eventually she passed away because oh she got older, and there was a lot of memory in that house. 'Cause that property is no longer around, and my grandma had to sell the land because because it was just too much for her. Like when you have so much memory in the house,
Yeah.
you can't just be in it anymore. Like that person is gone, and plus the house was already getting old, and my grandma was saying that since ever he'd gone, things are starting to fall apart. It was kind of like I don't know, just since he was gone, everything was going away with him as well. The house.
Yeah. Well, that's difficult too. Trying to keep the upkeep on a home. Typically, not saying that all males tend to the needs of repairment on a house or property, but usually that's how it goes. And with age, it's very difficult for the elderly to get around without a helper or two, right? But yeah, some people can buck the horse on that one and stay with the property and endure it. Maybe they feel comfort, or just because it's again familiarity, they're flooding memories coming back to them that makes them feel whole. But for me, I think I'd be one of those ones that would have to escape it too. I don't think I could endure it. I think it'd be too painful, regardless of how I feel about the afterlife or belief systems on any of that. But yeah,
Because you always have like memories just running through your
yeah,
mind, how what happened, what did you guys talk about, what things did you guys get up to,
yeah,
and what did you guys you know
yep,
when you had like dinner together and things like that. It's hard, you can have a good time, and it's a
yeah. That
very
I think that would hold me back from, you know, uh, getting my footing back in the world. I think I've become stagnant in energy, and yeah, that definitely wouldn't be a benefit for me. But oh, excuse me. So, do you know, Sophie, anybody else that has bipolar 2 in your area where you're residing?
in my family.
Well, yeah, or your family, peers.
Yeah, my family, they not my mum,
Excuse me.
but some of the my relatives on my mum's side and my dad's side, they suffer with mental illness.
Okay. So then you have a support system that you don't feel completely alone in, and you know,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
nice.
Yeah.
That's definitely a major help in gaining your traction. Um, I believe my family on both sides has mental illness, varying degrees of it naturally. But again, we could say that it's genetic, environmental. When I say environmental, meaning like coping mechanisms to more or less get yourself through that traumatic experience, if you will. Um, but I've only got one uh, member in my family that's actually medicated for a specific disease. Everyone else just seems to carry on about their business, maybe in denial, maybe they don't feel it's necessary. Not sure what the situations are varying for each and every one of them, but
I feel that my family with mental illness that they just kind of like accepted, yeah, I have this, I take medication, and then just not think about it.
hmm. Yeah, I don't know if that would. Well, I know for myself that wouldn't be the route to go. To accept something and take medication, and just hope that that's all I've got to do, and pray for the rest of my life to be prosperous, you know, carefree, willy nilly, if you will. I don't think that works, and that's why I say that medication it should be a form of band aiding. to get you over that hurdle for something
Yeah.
that you can't really micromanage yourself when it's too heavy. But then have the tools. I don't know, like I've been out of the loop with psychiatry for quite a while now, but even in my days when I was attending my appointments, I didn't feel like there was anything more than pills and appointments. There was no real talk therapy besides the basic, how are you doing today? How's things been up to this point? It's the same old song and dance. And
So it's pretty much open-ended conversation.
yeah, I,
Nothing to expand on, nothing to.
no, right? Like I wanted to get my teeth into material and start festering with it. Like what can I do on my own besides exercise and diet? Like what can I teach myself that's gonna, float me in a right way of looking at things? Because it was quite difficult taking pills and just, you know, fuck, I don't
Could
know. I
it
felt like I was
could it
lost.
be could it be that they don't want you to be fully better so that they
Well,
keep
yes,
keep
thank you.
having you coming in?
Exactly, right? You think about it. Doctors, man, like I always say, if you don't have a broken limb or bone, or if you don't need surgery for any other thing, you probably don't need to see a doctor. Majorly, like a lot of the health issues that people are dealing with today, they could, curb their shitty habits, let's be honest, and get them back on track. I've done it. I'm living proof. I'm not saying, yeah, I'm on a fucking mountaintop screamed to everyone, you idiots, what the fuck you doing, listen to me. But I've gone through a hefty, uh, how can I put it? Um, well, my story's pretty crazy, right? I didn't totally elaborate in all my podcasts or even my sole podcast. But what I do firmly believe is doctors want you to be sick so they can generate income, right? It's a cash cow system. Um, yeah, you might need somebody for a moment, as I keep referring and referencing back to the Band-Aid, uh, way of looking at things. But I don't think it should be a permanent fix to take meds and to seek therapy. Like it's almost like you're being uh, having your hand held. Like I can be brutally honest, and I know some people are going to dig on that and go, "Oh, you know what he's talking about." In actuality, this is 3 years in the making of me doing my own thing and being quite content with it and micromanaging a business and a family and blah blah blah. But long story short is, once you get better, what do you need a doctor for? The road of a patient, and they can't write scripts and they can't bill you for sitting in their seat anymore. So that's a problem, and they want to push out more negative news through the social media. About what you need, or you feel. You ever see those commercials where you're like, watching TV and an ad comes on, they say, "Oh, are you feeling depressed? Take this," and then you got this whole slew of side effects, that comes with it. So you kind of got to weigh out your options. Go, I can deal with my depression on my own means, and this is depression, not like a heavy mental disorder, uh, or I can take this pill in hopes that it doesn't bloody well, drop me dead here, right? So, they're going to be very adamant and controlling in terms of trying to keep you in that seat. They don't want you to get better. They act like your friend and coax you along, but they really just want to feed you more and more pills that eventually do make you sick. Long-term medications, they have to do something negative to the body. My kidneys are falling apart, my liver, my gallbladder, and that's not to scare people. Again, Band-Aid, and then roll on with it, man. You got to be strong and sturdy and work for yourself and get yourself, you know, uh, the help that you need from your own source, and a support system too. But don't solely rely on medications and hope that it's going to be the quick
Oh
fix,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah, and that's not to you, Sophie. That's just to the broad range of people out there thinking, "I'll take a pill, magic pill, and I'll be fixed. Everything's hunky dory." Nothing works that way. That's how
Yeah.
they've been trying to run the whole industry with diet pills and these diets. Like, fuck, we're all so different that even that's the other thing I find with the group on Facebook. Everyone's asking everyone else what they should be taking. Have you had experience with this? What's this doing to you? Well, it doesn't matter. The same milligram of pill could be distributed amongst 20 people, and every individual in that group of 20 people are going to have a different outcome, a different experience, and discuss it that way. So it's kind of hopeless to ask someone else how they're doing on the same drug, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I totally understand that. And even they ask like what side effects do people have, but some might have side effects, some don't have side effects. So I think I do have a bit of side effects. I'm not so sure because I don't know what it is, but I have a metallic taste and I don't know what
Yeah,
it's
ooh,
from.
shit. Okay. Uh,
I had it ever since I recovered from psychosis.
right.
It
Hmm.
comes and goes, a metallic taste, and then when I get it, my speech starts to get worse. It starts to slur
Okay.
because I've already got speech impediment. I don't want it any worse.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, that metallic taste I had in my mouth too. You're not on lithium by chance, are you?
No,
No. Okay.
I'm on Epilim, so sodium valproate.
Okay.
That's the mood stabilizer, and then I'm on the antidepressant. I'm on the Cymbalta.
No, I'm surprised that they have you on antidepressants because it's well known that antidepressants actually increase your chances of having another manic episode, eh?
Yeah, that's why they put me on mood stabilizer.
Hmm. It's almost like they're saying that the mood stabilizer will cancel out the nasty side effects of the antidepressant that could bring on a psychosis.
So yeah, if I wasn't on mood stabilizer and only antidepressant, I would have had another manic. So
Hmm.
that's why it kind of like levels it out.
Okay. So I wonder too that metallic taste, like what I've generated from researching for me as an individual, is uh, I think it was the liver, the kidneys. I can't remember now, but I was always having that shit taste in my mouth, and I drank a lot of water. Like I was drinking. I'm not even joking. Like
I can't even drink water. Like if I
no,
start drinking a lot of water, it gets stronger and stronger.
really, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to talk to your doctor about that, there, Sophie, your psychiatrist. Do they have you
I,
on a high dose of meds by chance?
I'm on 1,000 milligram for sodium
That mood
valproate.
stabilizer. Okay. See, I was on
Yeah.
1,350 milligrams of lithium, and I noticed side effects when I believe I was on 900, and they thought because I wasn't in that natural bracket with everyone else, we better increase this shit. And I kept saying, all right, I'm having neuropathy issues. I get this god awful, almost like sand in my mouth with the metallic taste, and I could drink and drink and drink, and it was never suffice. I literally have a 4 liter jug of water by my
Oh,
bedside every night, and I'd just be pounding it, man, right? And I would carry it around with me to appointments because I always felt like I just came from the desert, totally dried out. But that was, Oregon saying we can't do this, get that toxic shit out of us, or we're gonna we're gonna die, more or less. Yeah, it was pretty you know difficult to get through that, but managed.
yeah.
Um,
I honestly don't even know what I'm gonna do like with the medication wise in the future. To be honest.
yeah, I do want to throw it out there. I mean, I've rambled on about my story and stuff. I don't want to be the one to point fingers and tell people you should or shouldn't be doing this. I can't really advocate, without uh, having, proper training. I'm not a doctor, but I can just say that
Yeah.
what worked for me and what didn't, and just know that be weary, I should say, to each and every one that's out there taking meds, of the side effects that could occur. And when you notice things, talk to your doctors about them, man. You can't let that go because
The thing is, there's risk in any direction, pretty much. Like there's
yeah,
a risk
there
in
is.
taking medication. There's a risk not taking a medication. So
I know. It's a matter of trying to find a decent balance and
like
moderate.
I don't know my answer. That's the hardest part. And the only thing that's keeping me okay is just taking medication for now, even though I'm dealing with this really irritating
Yeah.
metallic taste.
Well, that's it too. If that's working for you and it's keeping you stabilized, then by all means continue naturally, right? And
Yeah.
I'll throw it, another disclaimer point out there too to people that never come off medications without talking to your psychiatrist first. I mean, if that is your end goal, which I'd hope a lot of people are, depending on their severity, then talk with them so that you can taper, on a course that's strictly monitored, and you're having constant feedback from your doctor rather than just going cold turkey. Uh, I actually had a family doctor who knocked off one drug to replace another, and there's no tapering involved. And I went like chicken living, man. What we mean by that is like having those flooding memories of you know what I had to endure out in Calgary years ago, and just being hospitalized. They all just came running or flooding back, and it was too overwhelming for me. So I was trying to go to community college with that too. That was quite quite tough, but
Yeah,
yeah,
people need to be careful with mental health, to be honest. Like,
yep,
either medicated or not medicated, you need to be
yeah,
careful.
definitely. And like I thought my coping strategy was take pills and drink, and I mean, shit, drinking can just bring a host of issues to any given individual who who's medicated or not, or with that illness or not. And I found when I removed the poison, because that's what that is too, alcohol, any form is, I was able to see things clear, have more respect for myself, carry myself in a better way. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of things we can do for ourselves with or without medication, depending on the individual and what they want to do with themselves, right? Under the guidance of a doctor, of course. But, you know, whatever works for you, man, just hammer it home and do your best. There's no proper manual for any of this, to be honest, because everything affects us so differently, right? But I guess what I can say is, coming from my standpoint, I'm pretty happy that I've gone through that, but now I'm here, so I can advocate for others too. It seems like the end of the world when you've been diagnosed and you're taking pills and you don't know which way is up or down, but I mean, if you take an interest in yourself and your better health and you want to achieve something, by all means, dig right in and start doing the shadow work. You mentioned that you got into spirituality when you were younger, Sophie. Could you elaborate on that just a bit?
Um, Spirituality, I'm not too sure on spirituality, but I was more, I was disassociating a lot.
Okay.
So I was never really in the present moment. I was always unconscious, like I was somewhere else. So it would be, for example, I would be sitting here in the, like at the table, but my mind is somewhere else, and
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a different reality or something. Like it's like daydreaming basically, and I
Hmm.
was always it was like that all the time.
So, how did you feel during those times? Were you at peace with yourself?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It was hard though. It was up and down.
Did it almost feel like an astral projection, if you will, in a waking
Yeah, it was
state,
almost
Deb?
it almost felt like that.
Nice. Now, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were to sit there and talk to a psychiatrist, yeah, mouth's dry. A psychiatrist about this, they'd be like, oh, man, they're fucking whack. They got to take more pills. Amp them up, people. Um,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, science-based ideologies can help to some degree, but when it's, the phenomena of spirituality, I mean, it's just such a wide spectrum of different ideas that come from each and every one of us. And I firmly believe that what you witness through the lens of your own eyeballs is your projected reality. And that's your truth. And for someone else to step in and say, no, you can't see things like that, you're delusional, I think that's wrong, ultimately. Because then you're stunted. You can't grow, right? Um,
I also want to say something. Just jump in.
yep.
Even though I was disassociating, I also could tell straight away something about the person that gave me this feeling, something not right. So let's say I'm with my mum and we just come up to, like, let's say we're at a shop or something, this person may seem nice, but I'm like, okay, this person seems really off. Like even though they're putting on like a
Yes,
working face on, behind that working face,
you can see it.
I can feel something's not right.
Yeah, nice. And we all have that gift. Just some choose to cloak themselves and be preoccupied. So you could probably like see maybe even possibly an energy of like an aura energy around them too. You
Not so
think?
much
No.
aura, but more I can feel it in my body. Like,
Wow. No doubt. And that's
yeah,
what I'm saying. Like you're probably an empath too, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's what I find. People who have been diagnosed with things, we have this strong intuition and the ability. Like when I walk in a room, I can sense if things are off. You know, like something might have happened or somebody feels a certain way. I pick up on that very quickly. And I still find today it's difficult to ground myself properly and allow that person to be in their own space without being attached to it. And I just finished the book there, The Celestine Prophecy. It was published in '93. Watch the movie and good riddance. Read the book, hey, if you're interested. The movie sucked ass. That was unfortunate, but needless to say, if you concentrate hard enough and you practice, excuse me, you can actually see energies around individuals. And when you mentioned about earlier in our discussion, good God, this tea's giving me the burps, hiccups and whatnot, about, shit, uh, oh, train of thought's just gone.
it's
Can't
okay.
believe that.
That's
Uh,
all good. It happens.
yeah, it does. I totally lost my train of thought. Me and a buddy do this all the time. We're yakking away. He's like, what was I talking about? It gets me back on the path, but oh shit, something to do with seeing energies and whatnot with people. But, yeah, it's gone now. If it comes back, great. If not, it wasn't really,
Well, we
you
were
know.
talking about like intuition, like empathy, how we feel people's emotions, that you know that something's not right.
Right. Uh, yeah, I still don't know where I was going with that. It's a later part of the day too. I mean, here it is for me.
Oh
It's
yeah, and for
7:30,
me
but
it's morning, whereas for you it's night.
yeah, right. I actually got a buddy in Australia, and we're always trying to correlate the appropriate times to have podcasts and talk. And I think you guys are like 12 hours in difference or something, isn't it? Like it's 7:35 here my time. What time do you got, Sophie?
Now it's 10:35 morning, and it's Wednesday.
Holy, 10 to 5 in the morning? Is
Ten
that,
thirty-five morning.
wow. Oh, sorry. There again. I'm tired. I thought I heard 10 to 5. I'm like, and she's podcasting this early. Right. Okay. Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah, it's been a long day. I even found myself napping today. So let's get back on cue with the energies. Like I mentioned, I think I can pick up where I left off.
So,
Um,
so what usually happens is that like I could even just sit next to a person, and they don't even have to say anything, and I'm like, something's not up.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. And
Or like even in people's certain behaviors, I can tell whether it goes with a good intention or a bad intention.
nice. That's how our canines actually operate from that frequency and that vibration. When they feel that somebody's distrusting, dishonest, they'll uh,
Yeah.
they'll let them know with a bark or I mean dogs just drop their tail and whatnot and they show their teeth or something. But yeah, I think that's a necessity, and that's what we were talking about earlier. People becoming preoccupied, and we all have the ability to have that high intuition play out throughout the courses of our days and whatnot. But when you constantly filter through garbage all day, you're sifting through material through your eyes, through your ears, your mouth. You know what I mean? That kind of dampens that ability. But for ones who've been diagnosed with illnesses, bipolar, schizophrenia, whatever the other ones entail, there's
Oh, it's to affect you.
yeah, right. There's usually that ability to tap into other people's energy and you know, see where they're sitting at that given point, right? And I think that's pretty cool. So again, like going back to our earlier discussion about um, maybe like a spiritual awakening or emergency, I believe something was put in place during that critical time in your life and everyone else who's been diagnosed almost as a wake-up call, and you weren't allowed to actually see the fruition of what was taking place because it was, you know, interrupted with intervention through doctors and psychiatrists with medications, institutions. Um, I don't know if I'd actually want to go back and relive those memories before I was diagnosed, but I really feel like there was something more in the making. And you know, these psychoses don't last that long anyway. I think they're saying like a couple of weeks tops when you're really manic and shit. Um, if you could just find a safe place to bring yourself down and allow that transformation to happen, I think that would be the best way to go about, right?
Yeah,
That's just my
when I was going
ideology.
through, sorry.
Well, I was just saying that's my ideology. It could be totally
Oh,
wrong,
okay.
but that's how I perceive, you know, this whole mental illness shit.
Yeah,
I think it's a scapegoat just to
because
generate income.
I'm still trying to like I'm still how to say perplexed, like
Perplexed?
yeah, perplexed. Like still
Yeah,
unsure.
yeah, definitely.
So I'm still like unsure about the events that really happened in my psychosis and how it correlates with my experiences in the past because they did tie with each other a little bit. There were some incidents that were really different, like I've never experienced before, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Kind of like deja vu, and I'll just touch
Yeah,
base with that too. That you know, in some um, spiritual teachings, they say that we're multi-dimensional beings, and we have multi-dimensions. So maybe you're tapping into something, and again, that's your truth. For someone to say that it wasn't what you felt or seen or observed seems kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? Um, and I can see it though. Like if the world wants to, you know, uh, manipulate, control, and operate on a certain frequency, everyone has to get on board. And the moment somebody gets out of line, they got to snap them back into place. Um, I think it's our God-given right to create that awakening for others too through our own traumatic experiences and transformations. And they really shouldn't be subjected to, you know, institutions and days worth of meds. I mean, I don't know what you, man, but I was on like all together because it was affecting my thyroid and creating ulcers in my stomach and everything. I was on like 9 or 10 different medications, and I always say, "What the hell do I need this for, man?" You know, I've only had one manic episode when I was 90. What was it? 98, 99. Hospitalized for like 3.5, 4 months, and then released, and just kept taking the pills. I was being compliant, but the questioning that I had for the psychiatrists, they could never answer. Much like spiritual leaders, you know, with organized religions, which I refer to as nothing more than cults, right? They want you
yeah,
to, yeah, function as they do and not to question anything. And when you do, they can't find the appropriate answers that you're seeking. So I feel it's the same way with psychiatry. And that's kind of, like I said, burn people's asses because, you know, we've been told a story for so long, you start believing it. Like if you were told you were stupid from a very young age until you were an adult, you would think that you weren't capable of having an intellectual conversation or, you know,
yeah. I honestly felt like growing up, I feel like I wasn't capable of being like everyone else who had the ability to hear, to talk, to make
yeah,
friends,
exactly, right?
and then when I had just psychosis, it was almost like a switch on moment. It was like, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah, almost like a reminder
Like
to remind
like
you.
why can I be like this all the time?
Yeah, yeah, I think that was like a way to let you know that hey, it's not what you think it is. Um, Again, I could be wrong. This is just casting out ideas, concepts, and beliefs that I've cultivated on my own. But um, uh, who knows? I guess we won't know until our days are fully
We could,
numbered, and we're
I was gonna say we could all look at it as on an open mind.
that's how I am. You know?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
because people are trying to look things in a black and white
yeah,
perspective, whereas I'm very like, gray, colorful,
yeah, yeah.
just let the colors fly instead of just
Exactly.
looking at just this is how it should be, this is the way it is. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
From the eyes of a child, they come into this world and they're just in awe, looking around at everything, being exploring, not having a critical thought, a judgmental ideology against another one or anything. It's almost like accepting and just learning. And
Yeah.
at some point in their life, I don't know if it was preschool or if it was being around the parents at a certain age, that all gets shut off and shut down. And you're just like a walking, talking android. And
And the thing is, what happened is that when a child is doing the wrong thing, they kind of I don't know how they punish them, but when they tell them off, it almost shuts them off, maybe
hmm
in a way. I'm
yeah.
not so sure. Like I'm a bit vague on this.
Well, everyone's got their own belief systems when it comes to raising kids, but I think that if you don't allow them space to uh, react in a certain manner, then they don't grow to be an individual. They're just mimicking what they're seeing with their parents and doing what they're told steadily, so that they can't create their own individualism. And typically when the kids actually start acting out, it's around the age of 12, 13. They start, um, looking at the parents as almost enemies, if you will, right? Because they're really, all they're trying to do is find their own selves, and they don't know how to do that without discarding everything they've been taught. So they gotta,
Yeah, and they trying to like make them trying to be in this sort of way. They were gonna
yeah,
go to
right,
school, they're gonna go to university, and they're gonna be this,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. And I think that's wrong. Like I've got a 14-year-old son, and I tell him, do what you want to do. I'm not worried about you making boatloads of money. That's a cliche. It's fucking bullshit. But do something that's going to make you happy ultimately, and the rest will follow. Don't go chasing money. Chase your dreams, and then, like
Yeah,
basically, your hobby will be your job, and that's going to be
yeah.
enough for you to thrive with. There's too much
And also, I
emphasis.
have also have a sense of security as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. There is too much of an emphasis on schooling and having the right trade or the right skill. It's just overrated, and that's my point. Like, as a child, you weren't allowed to be who you wanted to be. As an adult, you can't be who you want to be without being told you're wrong, or you're ridiculous, or you can't think that way because it's not the way of the masses. It's like, holy God. So that's probably why people feel suffocated, anxious, depressed, and they have to seek relief from something, whether it's alcohol, drugs,
Because there's
sex.
no,
Like,
because it's a negative reinforcement. If there was a positive reinforcement, that would encourage them to, improve better.
yeah,
Because I
exactly.
actually watched it was a documentary on Netflix. I forgot the name of it. They did an experiment on a group of people. So there's two group of people, and what all they did was the stick with the plate that spins on it.
Yep.
One of those activities.
hmm
So they get two groups of people to do it. One gets a negative reinforcement, and the other one gets the positive. And so they do it the first time, both of them. Some of them did good, some did bad, and then they get their feedback. So once they do it again, the negative reinforcement did really badly, poorly. They weren't
Figures.
so feeling great about it. But the one that got positive was so ecstatic and like, yes, I can do it.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like the placebo effect. You could have two individuals, one on steroids and one taking a sugar pill, and the one taking the sugar pill can have almost the same effects and outcome as the person on the steroids in terms of growth and whatnot. But that's what it comes down to. I don't think that everybody should be hampered down with a certain way of being. Just allow yourself to be who you want to be. Don't look for validation, confirmation. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. That's when you get caught up in the snares, and then you feel like the worst thing is social media, Instagram, Facebook, always making comparison notes to the next individual. I don't know what they have, or I don't seem as happy as they do. But those are
Media is
all,
horrible.
yeah, big time, right? I actually went off Facebook for a solid year and just over, I guess, and I felt tremendous. I was like, oh, I don't have to compare myself to this one or that one, or they got more than I do, blah, blah, blah. And it was just kind of riveting to relish in that lifestyle for a bit. It was comfortable. I simply went back on to, get the platform boosted through groups like this and get my story out so I can share with others and have theirs in return. But I suppose too, Sophie, we should wrap things up, but is there any last thoughts you want to toss out to the audience
Oh, we
before we
went
kick
for a long
off?
time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That's good though.
I'm, yeah, like I can talk for ages.
Yeah, same.
Off. Oh, my phone's over there going off. So, wrapping it up,
Yeah.
is it not bothering the music?
No. I can just hear it
Okay,
faintly, but that's okay. No
okay,
worries.
it's good. To wrap it up, I just want to say I have come a long way. It's been really hard. Um, Even though my experience is very different to a lot of people, because I have my own disability, everyone has a different disability, I guess. So basically, what I'm saying is that my traumatic experience was that my hearing impairment, my speech impediment, and like I just felt like I didn't belong, and I'm starting to feel like I'm coming out of my shell.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for a lot of us, not feeling like we're good enough, like we don't have things to offer, our value isn't, worth anything, and you need more people to lift you up so that you don't feel that way. And you know, I've only spoken to you in this duration of time here, but I think you're doing okay. Like I didn't even notice the speech impediment. I never even thought that there was a hearing impairment there at all. I just noticed your accent right away, right? So, and not to worry about all that. Like I said, everything that we see in a physical form is just an illusion. It's only for a moment,
I
Like,
know you may not notice it, but for me it's very noticeable on the inside though, because I can like it's an effort for me though. Like trying to hear you talk is an effort for me. Trying to pronounce the words is an effort for me.
yeah.
Whereas a lot of people they talk for ages, and I'm just thinking, I wish I could talk as much as they could.
I'll tell you too, Sophie. I've gone through a time, even up to the last couple of months, where I couldn't hold a conversation for more than 10, 15 minutes because I'd be too lethargic, or I couldn't have the right train of thought. It was difficult. Things are starting to flow a little easier now, but it, you know, it's just a matter of, well, for me, anyways, looking at it in a different light and going, you know what, does it matter? Ultimately, not. Your story has been cast out there. I could hear it perfectly fine, and other people are going to gain insight from it too, right? So, you know, good on good on us for being here for each other and other ones. So,
It would be nice, it would be nicer if we all just, just be accepting, just
yes,
respect, instead of
big time.
just, pick and pull apart and tear each other down and, you
I
know,
agree.
standing over each other and just trying to act like you know it all or,
Yeah.
this
Well,
is how it should be when it's just, it doesn't matter.
no. Well, see, and the biggest thing is like each and every one of us, we do a fine job of tearing ourselves down. Why do we have to do it to the next person? You never know what that individual's going through at that time in their life. Like, you know, so definitely showing compassion, understanding, acceptance, love, and just being there for each other. I think those are key qualities in order to make everything, a better
Yeah,
place for
we
us.
all need that.
Yeah, big time. All right, Sophie. Well, it was great talking to you, and wanted to thank you for being a guest on my show. And I'm sure we'll be talking in the future too, right? And who knows? Maybe
Yep.
have part two here, right?
Yeah, why
Awesome.
not?
All right, Sophie. Well, thank you very
All
much.
right.
You have a good night, okay? All
Yeah.
right. We'll talk to you later.
And see you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.